Hey everybody, this is Mike Feldbauer coming to you from the Flag the Voice podcast studio. And today on the Road to Recovery podcast, I have a guest in the studio with me today that I met. I'm thinking it's 2 years,
2 years,
about
over
2
2
years
years ago.
ago, when she was starting a group here locally in the county, which I understand has grown tremendously. Her name is Stacie,
Hello.
and it is Sober Beach
Living. Sober beach living. You got
Sober
it.
Beach Leading. So, everyone, say hi to Stacie.
Hello. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Oh, good. So, Stacie, we want you to, if as comfortable as you are, to tell
Yeah.
your story of recovery. What brought you into starting this particular group that you now kind of head up, and the reasons for that, and how is it doing? So, just tell your story. You're on.
Okay. All right. I can go as deep as you want me to into my problems, but I knew I needed to get sober. And that started in 2021. Of course, I didn't start like I don't think any addict starts. Nobody wakes up and says, okay, I'm just going to be a drunk or I'm going to be a drug addict. But I'm a drunk. That's
Yep.
the bottom line. I'm a drunk. I came from a great family who really were teetotalers, didn't want anything to do with alcohol. Their reasoning was because they knew where it went because of their upbringing. My grandfathers were alcoholics. I think they tried to shield me from that, from telling me too much about that, or maybe we didn't know enough about how that switch gets turned on. But anyway, so I was not told not to drink, teetotal family. Well, I went to college in the 80s, like a lot of us did. And drinking was what it was all about. And I wanted to fit in. I think we all want to fit in. No one wants to feel like they're not a member, they're not part of the group. And it started very, very naively enough, and it wasn't a problem for a very, very long time. Then life hit, and things would get harder, and I'd say, oh, I need to cut back. And I would, but I was never honest with myself about why I needed to cut back. So I would stop for a good while. Then I think, oh, okay, I can stop. This is no problem. I'll just start, pick it back up again. And one drink would lead to 2 weeks later, and the whole process had begun again. Things really got bad for me around COVID. Different things had happened with working, and I had a lot of time on my hands. And I filled that time by drinking. And my family, I didn't think knew about it. Didn't think my husband knew about it. I was very good at hiding things. I thought. I thought. And it was nobody's fault but mine. I'm the one who chose to pick up. I'm the one who chose to handle things that way. And I would feel so bad about myself the next morning thinking, oh, I cannot believe I did that. But you know what I did? I picked right back up and did it again. I felt so good when that switch initially got turned on when I started drinking. The shyness I had felt, the not fitting in I had always felt. All at once I was cool. But things got very, very bad eventually. And that coolness turned into somebody I didn't recognize. I couldn't stand who I'd become. So even though I knew I needed to stop, it wasn't until God made me stop by making me sick. And I got necrotizing pancreatitis. And I ended up septic and on death's door. And it was just very clear, even though I tried a lot of my doctors, oh, I don't drink. Okay, I'm an OR nurse. I mean, I know it. I know that they knew. But the thing, and I will say, is leading up to me getting sick, it wasn't like I'd been on this huge bender or anything. It was just the daily, I need a drink here, I need a couple of glasses of wine here, just to get through. Oh, there was a football game on. I remember it was a Saturday. There was a football game on. I'm going to have a couple of drinks. I started not feeling well. Well, then that got really, really bad. Well, after God got my attention by me almost dying, and when I say I almost died, I really did. I thought, okay, stopping. Now what? I had to get really honest with the fact that I cannot control my drinking. It was no fault of my own. It was just something in my DNA that says you can't pick up and you can't control it. And I just have always prided on myself on being able to do whatever. I can do whatever I set my mind to. Well, I couldn't control the drinking. So it got to be very clear that I just had to stop it completely. Well, when I did that, I was very quiet about it, didn't want to say anything about it. When I finally did start telling people, oh, I don't drink, I had to be honest with myself and say the reason I don't drink is because I can't. That's the bottom line. Well, my friends disappeared. People ran away from me like my sobriety was catching. People who I thought were my friends or things I thought that I could do and go out with, I was not included. I wasn't included in conversations at work. I wasn't included in going out with people. People started trying to hide if we were around. Any family members, they would try to hide their drinking from me and even say, oh, Stacie's going to be here. Let's hide the drinking. That made it worse. That made it so much worse, Mike. I don't know if you've heard anyone else say that, but it made me feel so much more ashamed. And it just brought the shame so forefront. I felt like people were staring at me all the time, like there was something wrong with me.
I can somewhat feel the same kind of thing. I was mentioning to you and your husband before we got on, I was a 2-pack-a-day smoker.
Right.
And I had quit 6 times and relapsed 6 times. And every time I relapsed, I lied about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, one thing about lying about smoking is you can't really, because you stink.
Yeah.
Okay? And I can remember one of the times, and it was probably one of the last times I did it before I finally got to the point that I finally got it done. My office was up at an airport, and it was up in an airport tower that hadn't been used since the Second World War. So I was away from the general public.
Right.
Okay? You had to climb a bunch of stairs to get to me. It was you didn't want to do it just to come up and say hi, okay? And I'd be up there. Okay, no one's going to know.
Mm-hmm.
But then I finally realized, oh my God, I stink.
Right.
Okay? Because I remember when I quit and I came across people that were smoking, even if they didn't have a cigarette in their mouth.
Oh, you know.
You knew.
You know.
Okay? I mean, it's like that with some alcohol because it flows through your skin and
Right.
if you're close to those persons. But you don't have to get too close to a smoker to know that they've been smoking. So I realized that I wasn't admitting to my problem because I was hiding it when I relapsed. And we talked about it earlier, too, because every time you relapse, when you start back with more than you did when you quit.
Oh, exactly.
So it puts you in a far worse position until you get to that point that you're finally going to do it and you find whatever you need. And we'll talk about that with you. So,
yeah, just speaking about what you did, you do more. Before I got honest with myself and the different times I tried to quit, think, oh, I'm not quitting. Well, I might go and slam 3 glasses of wine in private thinking, okay, nobody's going to know. So it does make it a lot worse when there's a shame associated with it. But as I was saying, like people disappeared and I could feel just this total exclusion and like that there was a shame around me being my story. So I tried right at first to be like, well, let's not talk about it. Then I tried to lie about it and say, oh, I'm just doing it for health reasons. Well, yeah, I was doing it for health reasons, but the reason I was unhealthy is because I'm a drunk, and I always will be a drunk. I'm a drunk in recovery, thankfully. But I needed to figure out a way to live my life and to stay sober in a world that is so obsessed with alcohol. And that is so difficult because if you look at anything, if you're going to celebrate, what do you celebrate with? A toast. If at the end of the work week or the work day, people are having a bad, they're glad the week's over. Oh, let's go out and have a drink and let's go out and celebrate. If somebody's having a bad day, oh, I don't know what to do, but let's go have a drink and talk about it. Well, where do you fit in when that's not what you do? Because the human condition is we all want to fit in, right? I mean, that's just what we want to do. We don't want to be excluded.
You're right. That's one of the things that in the work that we've been doing and trying to get community understanding what we're doing and trying to provide things, and we're not at the point because we don't have the finances, but we'd love to have, I call it a sober club.
Mm-hmm.
Someplace that you can go to and have a good time.
Right.
There's music, there's dancing if you want, there's maybe pool and ping pong tables and all those kinds of things that you will find at other clubs, but there's no drugs, no alcohol, and no smoking.
Exactly.
And when I looked around our community after we moved here, I said, there's nothing here.
There isn't. There's nothing.
There's nothing here. And that's from early ages, mid-teens, teens,
mm-hmm.
on up to us young folks here, and that are way beyond those ages. Where do we go to have a good time and enjoy, and not be subject to that? I learned one of the things when we gave up drinking because of the history that I told you about in my family, that when we'd go to an event, it was really difficult. I was doing a lot of trade shows all over the country.
Yeah.
And one of the teams that I work with, they knew that I was not a drinker. No one ever asked me why.
Okay.
So we're at one event, okay? And I would usually have like a ginger ale or that kind of be there. And one of the guys said, well, you need some more? I said, yeah, he's going to go up and get it. Well, I came back, and all of a sudden it had a funny taste to it, okay? Had alcohol in it. I said, what'd you do this for? Well, I know you don't drink, but it's not too bad. I said, do you know why I don't drink? I was going to embarrass this guy.
Right.
I said, do you know if I'm an alcoholic or not? No. So that gave me another perspective that wherever I am, because I could drink because I was not an alcoholic, that I don't want to do that because I don't know who the rest of the people around the table are. I don't want to be that person that tests what they're testing and what they're going through. It doesn't hurt not to do that.
Right. That was one of the big things with sober beach living. I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I said, I just kind of put it out there a little bit when I think it was on Flagler Beach for Friends. People were saying different things. And I just put it out there. I said, is anyone interested in a group that's just for sobriety, where alcohol is, not included? I got some smart ass answers, of course. Like, what's the point? You live at the beach. But the overwhelming response that I got, I'm telling you, within the first 24 hours, it was like, yes, yes, yes. So, and I tried to ignore God placing this on my heart. I really did. I'm like, God, who am I? I'm just a drunk. I can't do this. I don't know anything. I was late to the party with Facebook in the first place. I ignored that for a long time. Did it to keep up with my family. And then just, started getting in touch with other people. But then when this was placed upon me, I thought I tried to ignore it. But then again, all of these people were like, I'm interested. So I said, okay, well, let me just make a page and see. When I tell you that I had 300 people within the first 24 hours join it. Now, it's not just me. I'm the one that started it. I will say that. But I do have a big admin team, and we'll get into that. And one of the people, Kim, is in the area, and she would be happy for me to let y'all know she's 31 years sober, and she's also very active in some of in AA and some of the other groups that are available. Mm-hmm. That's great for a lot of people. I'm telling you, Mike, it did not work for me. AA was not something that helped me at all. And that's okay. That's okay. There's some people, and it does a great, phenomenal job. But for me, it kept me in a place that I kept going over and over what I had done wrong. For whatever reason, it just didn't work. I wanted some place where people could go no matter what the reasoning. They just felt like they don't want to drink. They're working out. They are alcoholics. They take medication they can't drink. It's against whatever reason. So Sober Beach Living was formed with the idea that alcohol is taken off the table. That's it. You can show up and you don't have to tell your story. I didn't want a place where people had to explain to anyone why they weren't drinking. Because I even said, if I for some reason said, you know what, I don't like mayonnaise, nobody would expect me to explain to them why I don't like mayonnaise when I go somewhere. It would just be like, oh, okay, you don't, whatever. And it'd go on. It wouldn't be a big deal. But for some reason, when you say, no, I don't drink, it's a humongous deal. And I know my husband's here and he's not mic'd up. But he'll say, it shouldn't be a big deal. And he's great, and he's right, and it shouldn't be a big deal. And for him, it wasn't a big deal for him. But he's the 1% of the people that it's not a big deal for. So that is my hope, that people will just find this group. It started with things to do in Flagler County, people to meet up and do things. That does happen, and that's great. But a lot of people like to exist online, and life is busy. So a lot of people talk. There's the page. Then they can message privately, or they can talk to each other. After that, people do get together. There's some guys that do surfing together. Then they go out and have breakfast. There's some guys that play golf. There's some guys that watch football together. There's also some women that go and do shopping, do different things like that. But there's also people that just want to have somebody to talk to because life is busy and sometimes you don't have time to meet up and go do everything. I post daily. There's somebody in Massachusetts who's also on the admin team that posts, and she's got things going on up there. Texas has taken off. Big shout out to Debbie and Shelley out in Texas. They're in different parts of the state, but they have taken off and they've got big groups that are doing things, and that's wonderful. Also, recently I have somebody in the UK that has started doing something, and somebody in Australia. So when it started tiny a little over 2 years ago, and not actually what I had planned at all, I thought we're just going to meet up and we're going to go and we're going to see each other and we're going to talk. And you were at the first meeting, but it's hard to do that.
How many people were at that first meeting?
I want to say at the first meeting, probably throughout the whole time. You were there, then you left. About 30 people showed up at that first meeting.
Yep.
So, and that was a really good first because we put that together 2 days beforehand. And Kim called and got the meeting place. We were at the IHOP.
Yep.
Got the room, went, and we were thinking, might not be many people show up at all. But I've had some of the best friendships come out of that first meeting here in Flagler Beach. And I've lived here for over 25 years. But the people that I met there are people that I now talk to daily. So it's just really good that we don't talk about the fact that we're sober. We talk about life. But if you need some help and you need somebody to talk to, I've even told people, I might not be able to know exactly what to tell you. I can tell you what I did, but I know people that I can get you help if you need help. So my inbox is always open. Same for all the other administrators. There's always somebody you can talk to. And if we don't have the answer right away, we can tell you what we've done, but we know who to get to help you. So you're never alone. And that's the big thing. When you're starting out on anything, but especially when you're starting out sober, you already feel so ashamed of yourself. But then to also feel like you're excluded, it's heartbreaking. And that's why so many people don't succeed. And we want people to succeed, and we want people to know that sobriety rocks. I think you'll see me say that a lot in posts. It is the best thing. It is so wonderful. And some people say, oh, but look what you gave up. I gave up one thing to gain a million things. I could have kept that one thing and I would have lost everything.
Yeah, there's no question about it. I think it's amazing hearing the story because, again, I was in that first meeting.
Right.
And after I did that, we talked about it. I felt that was probably not the right place for me to be, though I did like the idea of what you were doing and have followed you ever since.
Thank you.
I am one of your continuous friends on Facebook.
Thank you.
And but had no idea how this organization has just skyrocketed.
Yeah,
I thought it was still this little group here in Flagler County, and obviously it has well taken off. And one thing you're really super correct on, there is not one particular way of recovering that's good for everybody. No. Okay, whether it's AA, NA, Celebrate, Recovery, church, your organization, you need to find the place that's right for you, and that will help you in your world of recovery. So saying that AA didn't work for you, that's fine because you found something that did work for you.
And I want to say
and that's not being critical of them. It wasn't for you.
It just wasn't for me. And there's plenty of people that are in our group that do go to AA, do go to meetings. And I will say, I believe in what AA stands for in NA. Just for me, going to the meetings did not work for me. But there's plenty of people that are in the group that do come, and I think it's a wonderful, wonderful organization. I totally support it. But I just want people to know that there's so many different ways to go about getting sober. And as long as you come to Sober Beach Living with the idea that you can even be sober curious. Just what is it about? What's going on? What's out there? We welcome you. Come, meet, intermingle. It's camaraderie and bloom, as I put it.
Do you have a regular scheduled meeting locally, a physical meeting, or is everything now online?
Everything is online. It was so difficult to try to get 300 people to meet and agree upon a place to meet that it got so incredibly difficult. And I've got to give a big shout out to Kim. She has been one of the ones that has really been great at organizing little different meetups. And she's amazing at that. But also, people have gotten to where they interact online. They'll message each other or they'll message in the group. Then from that, they've gotten to where they've decided, oh, I want to exchange numbers. I want to meet here. And they've really gotten their own like kind of subgroups, if you will, of sober beach living that concentrates on what they want to do. Like I mentioned, the surfers, the golfers, the women who like to shop, men too, whatever. We did a big paint thing out at Gola on Flagler Beach. Instead of, I think you probably heard of paint and sip, where people get together and they sip on and they paint. Well, we sipped on lemonade and water or whatnot and painted and had a grand time. So there's a bunch of different subgroups under the category of sober beach living. I just kind of I just opened the arena up to discuss it, and everyone came, and it's kind of worked out that way, that it's kind of gone from there. But
That's
people
fantastic.
do show up because they see, I post daily. And then
Yes,
we go from
that
there.
I know. I see it every morning,
Thank
pretty
you.
much every morning. What would be the best way for people to contact you or your organization? So if they wanted to check it out, get involved in one way or the other, they could do that.
You can look on Facebook. It's you can find it Sober Beach Living, and I'll leave you the information. And you can direct message me on there. You can look. You have to be approved to join, and it's not a big. There's no questions. There's no questions. If you're sober or sober curious, you're welcome. All right. Now we do, and the admin team does make sure that there's no funny business going on within the group. I mean, it's not a hookup site. It's not a place for you to share your business or ask for GoFundMe. That we're not going to tolerate that. So we are watching everything, but you can find it. We're going to approve you. You can reach out to me or any of the other admins, and we will be more than happy to talk with you or direct you, because maybe you might not fit with me, but you might be better with Kim, or you might be better with Debbie, or you might be better with Pam. We can help walk you through, because all of us on the admin team, we all have a different story of how we got here and the resources we used. None of us have the same story, which I think is really, really good.
Is the predominance of the people that join your organization, your group, whatever you want to call it, is it mostly from people coming from the alcoholic area, or are there also people coming from the drug portion area?
It's funny you should ask that, because don't they go hand in hand? Don't they go hand in hand? Have you?
Well,
met
I
that
think
many
so.
People that are just predominantly doing alcohol. I mean, it goes into other things. Now, I will say there's probably some people that are veterans in the sober life for a long time that maybe missed some of that, but I really don't think so. I think weed's always been something in the population that we deal with now, but we get deeper than that. And I will tell you, alcohol wasn't the only thing I did. So anyone that is welcome wants to get sober. I had people ask me, well, what if I'm seeing a doctor and I'm on X, Y, and Z medication? Okay, I'm not your physician. I'm not going to tell you how to do that. If you want to get sober and you're under a doctor's care and that your doctor thinks you need to take whatever it is you're taking, that's between you and your doctor. If you want to lead a sober life, if you want some friends that are not going to pressure you, if you want to know that there is hope out there and you can lead a great life by putting substances and alcohol down, you're welcome.
That's extremely good to know too, because and again, some of my early life experiences. My best friend growing up from the age of 3, we stayed right through high school together. Then we went in little different directions. Hadn't seen each other in years.
Right.
Excuse me. And then, probably 25, 30 years after we graduated high school, and the computer became available for us to find friends that we haven't seen or talked to in a long time. I did. And I found out this gentleman, his name is Billy, was living 7 miles away from where I was living.
Oh, wow.
Neither of us were living in where we grew up.
Uh-huh.
And it was just unusual. And another friend of mine, one of my best friends, his name is Neil. I said, I found Billy. He said, yeah, I just recently did too. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to try to get together and meet up with him. He said, you're going to be surprised. I'm not going to go into it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, Billy had become a severe alcoholic. Mm-hmm. Okay. From early life trauma issues that I was aware of. But then he came from a great family. Sounds like his father was a teacher, his mother was a teacher, his sister was in that kind of stuff. They were all nice people. Grew up in a nice middle class neighborhood. Yeah. He grew up, he was a good-looking guy. He was into sports, been lettered in high school, drove a Corvette. I mean, what more could you ask for? Went on to college, did really well, became a teacher and a guidance counselor. Was married, had a daughter and a son, but the alcohol took over. And when I met him, I didn't know really anything about this kind of stuff. And I found out, and I said, well, what can I do to help? And his friends were telling me they'd all tried, don't bother, okay? I said, I can't do that. I'm going to try. And I didn't know what codependency is and codependents are, that, what. So I took, for a whole summer, I took him to AA meetings. I even got permission to go to the private AA meetings because they knew that the only way I get him there is me coming. And we did all kinds of stuff, but it didn't work.
No, of course not.
He used me. Okay, I thought I was doing good. When I traveled out of town, I go to the restaurant and I said, okay, here's money for Billy's food. No change. Okay, it's got to be food that he has to eat here.
Right.
That kind of stuff. So if he does that, he's got that. And so I tried those kinds of things.
Right.
Got him into, up in Connecticut, they had a great AA camp.
Okay.
Where you actually went for 2 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And I got him into that at one point. But then I started realizing the only time he was coming to me for help was when he was in trouble. Okay? The revenuers were coming after him, I used to say. Okay?
He needed something.
He needed something. And I said, okay, well, maybe your friends are right. I just don't know. I don't want to give up, but I guess I have to.
Yeah.
And I did, and then shortly moved down here, and then got, not long after we got here, I get a call from his sister, Billy's dead.
Yeah.
They found him on his living room floor, alcohol overdose. I mean, he went the whole route. He was belly extended, all that kind of that stuff that visually you see that there's somebody wrong with him, not just. And now later in what I do now, I understood that a lot of things I did for him weren't helpful.
No, it was enabling.
Okay? They were in my heart, but they weren't helpful. That's that codependent and codependency thing. I felt I needed my heart to help him. He was using me, but I was also using him to fulfill those heartfelt needs that I had. And that's a very difficult thing we have to teach family and friends. Okay? Your heart might be to help your child, your relative, whatever, but you got to be careful how you're helping them, that you're not giving them what they need to keep going where they're going.
It's so interesting that you say that, because enabling is such a big thing that caretakers, and I'm a caretaker by trade, as I said, I'm a nurse, but I've always been a caretaker. Users are manipulators. It's the bottom line. And it's nothing that as a caretaker you're thinking, oh, I'm going to be smarter than this. No, their addiction, whatever it is what drives them and speaks the loudest to them. And I've said this to people before. You can't beg someone. You can't plead. You can't be logical. You can't cry. You can't shame them. Till someone wants to get sober, there's nothing anyone can do for them. And the biggest thing and the best thing a lot of caretakers can do is take a step back. And I'm saying that because we also welcome what somebody would go to Al-Anon for. If you're involved with, if you're married to, or if your child is, or you're best friends with somebody that's struggling, we welcome you in Sober Beach, because you'll learn the tools that help you to say, hey, I can't do anything. I need to step back. And there's people around me and the community that will support me in doing that.
Well, that is so good to hear. We are, I'm sorry to say, we're coming to an end of today's session. I certainly would love to have you come back sometime.
I would love that.
Continue these conversations. When I hear what's going on and what you're doing, your middle name might be Bill at this point. You know what I mean? That's
very, very kind of you. Thank you so much.
We need more of this. I see it. I see that we need more variety of way for people to find a comfortable spot for them to recovery. And the non-critical part is so important. I run a recovery meeting at my house every Monday night.
Okay.
And we welcome, it's a small group. We got to max out at about 15 at this point just because of room and stuff. But everybody, no matter where they are welcome, whether it's alcohol, whether it's narcotics, whether it's sex or gambling.
Right.
You're still welcome to come there. And we run it as a Christian recovery meeting. We use a lot of Christian scripture. I mean, the whole 12 steps come out of the Bible.
Exactly.
Okay, so there's good direction there. But if you give direction, if you send, okay, look at this and look at that, but don't give them a way to use it.
Right.
then it's, Scripture has to be identified to where it can be obviously used. If you go to a preacher and a preacher's preaching all this great sermon, it sounds good, but how do I use that in everyday life? Well, if you don't do that,
You're exactly right.
you're not providing
You need
what
to
people
know.
need, whether you're in recovery or not.
Yes.
Those are things that all of us need. So that's an important factor. So at this point in time, I'm going to say goodbye to Stacie
Thank you so
today,
much,
and we hope to
Mike.
have you come back in the future.
I would love to.
Good. Well, everybody, this is Mike Feldbauer from the Flagler County Drug Court Foundation, coming to you from the Flagler Voice podcast studio, being powered by the U.S. News and Entertainment Network. We hope to see you again real soon. Have a great day, everybody.